In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
we are bringing you a live recorded session from Campervan Campout when we tell of the trials and tribulations of van life with friends of the podcast.
And we're back with Alan Rogers for another campsite of the month.
And we answer your questions on vehicle weights and road tax, tyre pressure and warranty work in Northern Ireland.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. Brought to you by thatleisureshop.com.
Now, please do remember to follow on your favourite podcast app and make sure you click subscribe and the bell on YouTube. Brought to you by arabasecreative.co.uk.
This episode is sponsored by Ripe, the motorhome insurance specialist. If you love travelling across Europe in your motorhome, Ripe has you covered with their fully comprehensive European insurance.
Now, I tested their service myself and was impressed by how quickly I got a really competitive quote. Their customisable policies mean you only pay for the cover you need. Rated excellent on Trustpilot, Ripe ensures you're protected on all your European adventures. Check them out and travel with peace of mind.
And you can even meet the team from Ripe at this year's mighty Duff Fest from the 14th to the 16th of June. They're running a summer competition to win over £2,500 worth of prizes, including a year's worth of insurance up to £1,000, a £500 quirky campers voucher, a £750 Glawning voucher, a solo stove bundle worth £329 and more. Head to their website for details or follow them on Instagram at Ripe Insurance.
Click the link in this episode description to start your quote with Ripe and enjoy a 25% discount off your premium, or give them a call and say Motorhome Matt to get 25% discount over the phone. We're back with another campsite of the month with Alan Rogers. Welcome, Alan. How you doing?
Hi, Matt. Still not called Alan. Still called Rob.
You still got his
You'll
name.
get it.
You still got his name on your T-shirt.
I know.
So, Rob, where are we this month?
So we're in Languedoc-Roussillon this month, and a campsite called La Brasilia. Do you know where the Languedoc-Roussillon region is?
This is like a geography test. I've been to school. Southwest France. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Down in the
Perpignan.
corner. I've never stopped there. We've always kind of gone through it and just focused on getting to Spain.
Oh, you're missing a treat. Beautiful region.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It gets a bit brown down there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it can do. Canet Plage is pretty popular. That's a nice tourist town down on the coast there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world, I have to say. So this campsite won Exceptional Services and Facilitations Award. Why?
Well, it's an immaculate 5-star site. It's got a huge pool, 6,000 square metres.
Whoa,
yeah,
that's a lot
immense.
of water.
Yeah, absolutely. Slides, waterfalls, spa and wellness centre, fantastic restaurant, which I know you always look forward to a nice restaurant.
What? You're always picking on me for food. I'm in the pool. With you on the slides. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I'm in the bar.
Okay, good lad.
Yeah. So lovely bar, and the standout thing is a shopping arcade. So
shopping arcade.
Yeah.
How many shops?
It's about half a dozen shops. Yeah, so it's good enough for a little shopping trip.
On a campsite, that's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. In the high season, they've got daily entertainment, which involves fitness classes, kids clubs, all sorts of activities for everyone on the campsite to enjoy.
And is this one of those campsites with thousands of pitches, or how big is it?
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than some of the others that we've discussed in the last couple of episodes. It's got about 700 touring pitches, and they're mostly fully serviced. So you've got electric hookup, grey water disposal and water points on all the pitches.
Okay, brilliant, very handy. This is a family business as well, second generation, is that right?
Yeah, Rennie and Simone, they're the second generation. The site started in 1963, so it's been in the family since day one, and it's part of the Leading Campings group, which is a really exclusive group. So if the site you're visiting is part of that Leading Campings organisation, there's only 38 sites that are part of that organisation. You know you're in for a bit of a treat if you go into one of their sites.
And there's a tourist train as well, I understand, to get you to the beach. Is that right?
Yeah. Canet Plage, the village I talked about, is small town really. It's a lovely tourist town, lots of bars and restaurants along the coast on the promenade there, and they do a tourist train from the campsite down onto the beach.
Now, I happen to know that for this site you need to book early. Is that fair?
Absolutely, yeah. This is one of our most popular sites,
Yeah.
and yeah, you really do need to get in quick to book that site.
Brilliant. And when's it open?
It's open from mid-May until early October, so
Okay,
a slightly
so-
shorter season.
Yeah, okay. And price range, the big question we always get asked is how much is it?
Yeah, towards the top end of the mid-range. In the low season, you can probably get a pitch for about 30 quid a night. But yeah, as you get into the high season, it does start getting a lot more expensive, this one.
But like with all these French campsites, it's massive value for money, isn't it?
Yeah, considering what you get, I mean, for the pool alone, it's well worth the money.
6,000 square metres, a lot of water and a lot of chlorine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, there we are. Brilliant. You can find out more about all of Alan's campsites at mhmp.info/Alan Rogers. Thanks again, Alan. Good to have you with us.
Cheers.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Now, Matt, the main part of this podcast, you were recently at Campervan Campout hosting the Campout Hub.
Yeah.
What happened there? What did you get up to?
A great weekend. We had a weekend of brilliant presentations, all organised by Warner's, the team at Warner's, and all things van life, using a van, buying a van, selling a van, taking a van to Europe. The topics were really broad.
Was it Vanny?
It was very vanny.
Careful how you say that.
And I had the great pleasure and privilege of hosting the whole thing, so introducing everyone with a comedy fact about them, which was very amusing for me and some of the audience, and then a Q&A after each session, which was brilliant. So a really engaging session. It was brilliant. The best, I think, presentation hub that I've been to and attended, and I don't say that because I was hosting it. It was awesome. We're going to try and define van life. It means so many things to so many different people, and I'm delighted to be joined by a motley crew of different smiley faces, looking all very different in lots of different outfits. You lot are amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. So I want you to tell me a little bit about your view of the term van life, your highs and lows, and maybe the things that you know now that perhaps you wish you'd known when you embarked on this van life. But Mr. Radford, this is Steve from the Roaming Radfords. He's got a microphone. Steve, this all started, this discussion between you and me, a little while ago, where someone said to you, or of you, you are not van life. You've got your nicely ironed Ralph Lauren shirt, your posh factory-built, shiny motorhome. You're not van life, mate. You bought it. You didn't build it.
This is what sparked it off, right? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
And several videos were made about that as well.
But how did that make you feel? Are you van life?
I feel very much part of van life, yeah. Am I a full-time van lifer? Absolutely not. But van life is a broad thing, I think. So, yeah, I feel part of the van life community, if you like.
And what does the term mean for you then? In your Ralph Lauren shirt?
In my Ralph Lauren shirt. Just because I've got a £100,000 motorhome and I've not got a self-build van, it doesn't mean I can't be part of van life, I don't think. I think we all enjoy the same thing, getting out in the field, finding great park-ups, meeting fellow people with the same kind of interests, and yes, and enjoying that van life feeling.
And of course, you do hundreds and thousands of miles in your van every year with the kids.
With the kids, yeah.
What's van life for the kids then?
We spend 3 months of our lives in the van, so yeah, we're quarter-timers, not full-timers. And the kids, I was just discussing it earlier, the kids have been brought up with it. It's been 18 years, so they have all been brought up knowing van life as we know it.
Some brilliant memories for them, for
Absolutely.
Sure. Now, I'm delighted to have Absolutely Lucy with me as well. Tell me, what is van life for you? You live in your van full-time now or not?
No, so I've always said that I would never live in my van full-time, but I love it for doing trips. I started van life in Australia and living out of the back of cars. And for me, it was just about freedom and just being able to trip with my friends across the country and just go out to places that we wouldn't be able to do normally. So be able to camp up in the wild and just absolutely live on the beaches and just change our mind at a moment's notice where we were going to be. So it's just about, for me, it was about bringing that back to the UK and just being able to live that same lifestyle. So when I've finished work in the week, I can go off over a weekend, or I can do a longer trip by myself, or I can go off to a festival with friends and be able to just experience van life wherever I want to go.
So you're a notorious traveller. So is van life for you all about travel?
Yeah, I think so, because I actually bought my van during the pandemic. So for me, I came back from a trip in Central America, and I had been doing my absolute dream trip of all time, and then had to fly back in an emergency and come back to lockdown. And I didn't know when that was going to end. I think I thought I was coming back for a few weeks, maybe a month or two. And about a year or two later, I was still there, and I was like, I think I need to do something. And my mum actually suggested getting a camper van, because it was something I'd always dreamed of doing. And yeah, I got mine off Facebook Marketplace. It was already converted, so much like you, I have that thing where I'm not really a van lifer in theory, because I haven't converted it myself.
Well, that's not a van builder.
It's just, yeah.
Sure.
Exactly. It was already converted how I wanted it. I did it the convenient way. And I made it obviously very much my own, but it was just another way for me to go off and be able to have adventures around the UK. My dream is to take it over to Europe and do more. So
this is Carl from Built Not Bought. Now you specialise in building camper vans. You built your own, and you've built 30 or more for other people.
Loads over the years, so many. I've actually forgotten the ones that I have built sometimes. So I want to go back a little bit to what Steve was saying. So I'd like to say that I've been friends with Steve a few years now, and I consider Steve and Lindsay very good friends of mine. I don't own a £100,000 motorhome. Could I afford one? No, I couldn't. Would I want to afford one? No, because I like building them. It doesn't mean it makes us any different of a person. It really doesn't. And I totally disagree with anybody who says because you've got a motorhome, you're not in the van life community. And I was asked this, and I think you asked me earlier, this question: what is van life? Now, I said this because I now also run my own show, that van life for me, getting that out to everybody, to people to my show, is an umbrella. That is one big umbrella. Van life is just one umbrella. It doesn't mean because you've got a built van, you are a van life. Doesn't mean because you live in your van full time, you're a van lifer. If you've got a camper van, even if you've got a tent, if you've got a car, you come under that van life umbrella. It doesn't matter what you drive, what you live in, what you stay in, because there are people living in tents. They come under that umbrella. It's all about freedom, getting out there, enjoying life, and getting away, I suppose, almost from the system. That reality of every single day life, you get a break from it as soon as you get behind the wheel, get in your tent, no matter what you do. So for me, it doesn't matter what you've got. It doesn't matter.
I love it. And it's funny, isn't it? When you go away for a weekend, it can make you feel like you've been on a holiday for a week.
Exactly.
I sleep better in our motorhome than in any hotel ever. True.
I must admit, I always say, as soon as I get in that van and I'm in that bed of a night time, do you know what? I sleep so much better. And it's a feeling. I can't even put words to the feeling. All I can say is try it. Even if you go and hire a motorhome, try it. Hire a van, do something, borrow one. You've got to try it before you can knock it, because there are people out there that knock it left, right and centre and say, oh no, hotels, you don't know unless you try.
Absolutely true. Now, you're a festival organiser.
Yep.
Overland Celebration. What else do you organise? Another one as well?
So no, it's Van Life and Overland Celebration. I do play a big part in other shows as well. I volunteer at Vanlife Eats. And if anybody else wants shows, I'm also here. We've got a self-build advice centre for people building Vanlife vans.
Yep.
And the thing is, even when we leave here, people can call me for advice. You know, I'll help anybody, because I'd rather do it, if they're going to do it and they're not sure, I'd rather them do it safe.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's really important. Now, we're also joined by Guy from Vanlove Fest, which is a very new festival. Is it in its third year now?
Third year.
Third year, yeah. So, Guy, you're one of the festival organisers in this van life kind of niche, and you love your van. You've got a very, very modified Adria Twin. It's probably the most modified Adria Twin I've ever seen. It doesn't even look like an Adria Twin anymore. But what's van life for you as a festival organiser? Who is Vanlove for?
So the journey I've had with the van was very different and very rushed, because we run an events business as our core business. So Chris Moyles, who's here tonight, is one of the acts we look after, Ministry of Sound. When we went into lockdown, our business was in a real state. So we wanted to try and find a way of doing live entertainment still through lockdown. So we partnered with Horrible Histories, the kids' theatre brand, TV show, and we started touring it. So it was drive-in theatre with Horrible Histories. And then the government, in their wisdom, despite the fact we were trying to keep people working, said, you're not key workers, so you can't stay in hotels. So literally, we were talking about how do we solve this, and the answer was, let's get a motorhome. So I went to our local dealer and I was like, it cannot have flowers on the upholstery, no stripes, and no net curtains. Other than that, anything goes. I was like, what you got? They literally had this Adria twin sat there, and it's been so perfect for us, but it was purely accidental that we got into it. And then while we were touring this theatre show, we ended up on Elvington Airfield in York. And my OCD, because by this time I'd already fallen in love with the van, I just thought, this is amazing. Like, I was exactly what you're saying. I sleep better in it, I can cook in it, wash in it, go to the loo. It's just brilliant. Got up to the runway, my OCD kicked in. I was like, oh my God, this place would look amazing if we could line up loads of camper vans all the way down the runway. And that's literally how it came about. So when lockdown lifted, we went to a couple of the festivals, see what it was like, kind of enjoyed it, but I thought we could do something a bit different, more dance music, a little bit kind of younger vibes. And first year we just put it out there, and by pure chance as well, we'd applied to do £1 Million Motorhome on Channel 5, and then they came and followed the entire story of building this festival. So we ended up with 300 in the first year. We did 550 last year, and we're on track to do 1,000 this year. So
wow.
It's growing
so
really
growing
fast.
So Vanlife for you then is a commercial venture. As much as a passion with your own van.
It's not commercial because we lost a huge amount of money on it. But the thing for us is that when we were looking at the different festivals, they were kind of all in their own niche.
Yeah.
And I felt there's some great things out there, but sometimes you turn up, especially if you've bought an Adria or a Swift or whatever it might be, you turn up and you feel like you're a bit of an imposter when there's people that have built their own. And I was like, there's plenty of weekend warriors that have really great motorhomes, and that's really who we've gone after. Hence the fact the name Vanlove came about, because it's just for people who love their vans. And van can be anything from 100-grand motorhome, overlanders, anything else in between. So, I mean, basically it's a bunch of alcoholics on a runway. It's what we've really created. So,
do you know that's van life in general?
True, right?
Yeah, there's a theme there. There's a theme. Now, Guy, you live in a bricks and mortar house. You work in your van. You holiday in your van. I want to introduce Jenna from Slowly Wilding. Jenna, you live in your van full time with your family. What is van life for you? I mean, it's your home.
It is my home, and it's been our home for 3 years now. We moved in to eliminate stress and everything from our lives, and to have more time together as a family, and to kind of go adventuring. And it really has been that. So for me, when people are excluded from van life, seems ridiculous, because everyone wants to do the same thing. Everyone wants to explore, everyone wants to get outside in the freedom, and everyone wants to live life on their own terms. So whether somebody wants to buy £100,000 motorhome. We're referencing your motorhome quite a lot here, right? But whether somebody wants to buy a big, shiny motorhome or whether somebody wants to build their own motorhome, they all want to live their life on their terms. And for me, that's what van life is.
And how do you feel when you arrive on a site where there's loads of factory-built motorhomes? So I think it was Guy, you said you felt like an imposter arriving on a site where there's loads of self-built motorhomes. Yours is self-built. I saw some pictures of it earlier today. Yep. Oh my goodness, what a job that was.
Thank you.
But how do you feel when you arrive on a campsite where there's loads of factory-built motorhomes and you're the self-built converted motorhome or camper?
Normally really proud.
Okay.
And other times, sometimes I can feel a little bit judged. I know when I was in France especially, and there was a lot of kind of factory-built motorhomes in airs and things like that, then there was a definite, and I don't know whether it's a good judged or a bad judged, but definitely we get noticed because it's an old library bus, so it's big, it's got a front door on the back of the bus, so you know, you can't miss it. We get a lot of attention from it, and normally, and I'm really proud of the build that we've done, and how I feel about the other people in these factory-built motorhomes is that we're all there doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all there doing the same thing and doing it to suit us.
But I find it interesting that you feel judged, and you feel judged, Guy, like an imposter. Amy, I want to come to you. We're a bunch of people that feel judged. Now, you've built this amazing community of people with all sorts of vans. How does that kind of manifest itself within your community? Is that a factor?
Do you know, I don't feel judged, and I don't feel that I'm judging either.
Good.
Sorry to break the mould there, but I have built a really wonderful, welcoming, non-judgmental community, both online and at in-person meetups. And genuinely, maybe it's come from me originally, but I really don't mind what kind of van you are sleeping in, driving, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. Essentially, all we are trying to do is the same thing. And for us, particularly in our community, it's making memories with our children, because we're a family-based community. So it's getting out there with our kids, spending quality time with them. And it's also for us as adults, making friends, making connections with other van life families, and for our children. Very often, I mean, lots of the families in our community, their children go to mainstream schools and they don't live the lives that we do. So it's lovely, particularly as the children get older, that they are surrounded, even though not in the classroom, but they still have that opportunity to be surrounded by other children that get it, that love going out outside, exploring and away in their vans. Yeah. So we would welcome within our community any van, built or bought. No, it doesn't make any difference to us. We personally, I've had both. We had our first conversion was professionally built, but once we grew in van life, and my husband is an electrician by trade, he's kind of into that kind of thing, and it was like a bucket list thing that he wanted to do. He wanted to build a van from scratch, and yeah, he feels proud. But I just don't take any notice of anyone else. I just maybe it's because I'm too busy and crazy with my
Generally
kids.
In life, that's true for you, I think.
I agree with that, because this judge feeling, I think Helen will say this as well. We went to the Country and Western Malvern show, Warner's Malvern show, and there is literally a sea load of motorhomes, coach-built motorhomes, because it's a motorhome show. So I turn up. I don't know if any of you know my bus. We're on the show field. It's what I call one of the old community buses that used to have the tail lift on. So it's now nothing like that. It's all black, blacked out windows. I have literally plastic skulls in the front of it. It looks moody. It looks completely out there. And now every build I ever do is quirky. Not ever any time you could say any one of my builds is the same, because it's not. So we pull onto Malvern, and we were met by some guy stood there, and he put his hand up. And I thought, oh, okay. And he's looking at me and he's giving me the strange look. And he's one of the marshals, I think. I don't know. Just waiting for Iain, who knows what's occurring, to come and get me. And I drove from that point to where she was parked, where we was parking, and I've never seen so many heads turned. And, it felt like it was a judging moment. It was either, oh, my God, what the hell is that? Or, wow, that is so different. But I can't say it was judging, because obviously you can't tell by everybody's look. You don't know every person. But I kind of felt exposed. Very, very. I don't normally, because normally I don't care, but it was that very exposed feeling at that point when all I can see is there's a £70,000 motorhome, £100,000 motorhome, God knows, hundreds of £1,000s worth of motorhomes, and there's me in this little black bus going around the corner. So yeah, I totally get. So again, being in a motorhome judged on a self-build, and again, I think it's human nature, but I don't care. It's just, and if my budget was very, very low on the build anyway, just like my first van, but I love it.
Iain, I want to come to you. We've got Iain Duff with us, who's the editor of Campervan Magazine, so a kind of industry insider. Iain, for you, how has the industry changed, this whole van life community that's kind of grown up and built up, which does feel quite recent in the last, certainly post-pandemic, it's boomed. But as the editor of a magazine, someone looking down on an industry, how has it changed for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clearly changed since the pandemic. I mean, that was the major factor in what you would call the sort of explosion in van life. And then, the last 3-4 years, we've seen the whole sort of atmosphere around the whole sort of scene change in some ways, and the people who are involved are different. But at its heart, and I think, we talk about van life, and I think everyone's sort of mentioned the same thing. We're talking about giving people freedom to get out and explore. My background really is more tent camping. For many years, I was the editor of Campervan Magazine, which is all about tents. And I moved over to Campervan about 3 years ago when I got a van myself. But the overall attitude and feeling is exactly the same. It's all about being able to go out and explore. Now, the vans make it a little bit easier because, you know, you don't have to pitch a tent every night, and that's quite complicated and tiring, especially if you get young kids with you. But essentially, it's the same attitude. So sometimes I think sort of labels like Vanlife aren't exactly helpful because they sort of almost pigeonhole you into what you have to be, and that's possibly why people would judge others and how they, what kind of van they've got or what kind of motorhome they've got. But essentially, whether you've got a tent or whether you've got a self-build or whether you've got a 100 grand motorhome, then you know, you're all the same. You're all wanting to do exactly the same thing, and you know, I think that is what, if van life exists as a concept, that's what it's all about. It's more of an attitude really than something that is, you know, tangible bricks and, well, not bricks and mortar, but, you know, wheels and side vans.
But the reality, I guess, though, is that my cave's bigger than your cave. That exists in bricks and mortar as well as it does in vans, doesn't it?
And in some extent, that's human nature, isn't it? That's
that
the way
is
people
the phrase,
are. And,
yeah.
you know, van life is a very all-encompassing word, and it covers a whole lot, as I've just been saying. Here, there's a huge variety of different ages and people from different backgrounds here. But at its heart, what they all want to do is do the same thing, is get out there and enjoy themselves and enjoy life, whether it's with their family or on their own or whatever.
And are you seeing a different demographic these days doing just that? As it changed? Has it become younger?
I think overall it probably has got a little bit younger. I think people, I mean, there's always been younger people who have gone for very basic, you know, camper vans and you know, in some ways it's always been a young person's thing, but you know, the nature of the beast is that, you know, it's quite expensive to buy a camper van. You're now talking about minimum £50,000 upwards. You know, quite easily you could spend 80, 90,000, and not everyone has that kind of. Well, very few of us, I think, have got that level of income that we can do that. So yeah, so that is maybe in the past has sort of kept younger people out of it. But I think, you know, people are the overall market, I would say, is now much younger than it possibly was even 5-6 years ago.
And Carl, are you seeing more and more people want to convert their own van for the point Iain makes that it's a life-changing sum of money, and actually a self-converted is going to be more affordable and therefore more accessible?
Yeah, I see a lot of people that they want to build them, but some aspects of it they can't do. So, and they come to us for that. So, but more people I find are willing to have a go. I mean, my Facebook group at the moment has got just over 58,000 members on there, part of the Built Not Bought campus sort of overall sort of umbrella, and the amount of advice people are giving and taking, the amount of people actually are building their own vans. You know, the drop in my work has sort of been quite a lot because everybody wants to have a go themselves. It is cheaper. You know, coming to me, it costs a lot more than if you're doing it yourself. So you're not paying that labour, you're still paying the parts or whatever, but the labour, again, if you're doing it yourself, you save a lot of money. Yeah. So there is a lot of people out there having a go at it themselves. And again, I looked at a van just now, literally parked a couple of doors away from me. They converted it using pallet wood. But I tell you something, the look is absolutely amazing. It blew me away. He's got a full-size shower tray, which he pulls out the back. Do you know, some of these things, and it's all done out of pallet wood. It just amazes me, some of the designs, some of the materials some people are using. I've got a guy that's going on show at my show. He spent £1,500 on his transit and the build. I mean, you know, these things amaze me, and I love people that do it. You know, okay, it takes work out of my pocket, but I don't care because I love seeing what comes out of it.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who want to contribute to this, there's a question. What one thing do you wish you knew? Like for you, Steve, 17 years ago, you started Motorhome. I mean, you went out and bought that motorhome, went home and said, Lindsay, I've got an idea and it's on the drive. I've bought it. What do you wish you knew then that you knew now?
Lindsay can answer that one, though.
Lindsay can answer it. Well, let's get Lindsay a microphone. We've got Lindsay here as well.
When we first got the motorhome, we didn't journey as much. It was somewhere to go and stay, maybe on a campsite, and then we moved from that motorhome into a caravan, and we did exactly that for the summer. Now, partly because Steve has very itchy feet and needs to keep moving, the journey is very much one of the most important parts of our travels now than the destination.
There you go, the road trip itself. It's not all about...
And you guys are all about the road trip, aren't you? Jenna, what do you wish you knew then that, you've been doing this 4 years of living in the van?
So I've been full-time for almost 3 years, but I've actually been living in vans on and off for about 20 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
I wish that I had documented my journey more, and I also wish that it had become more acceptable as well. Like, I come from Bristol. As you know, Bristol's got a big van life community.
My lover.
My lover. So it's got a big van life community. But there's a lot of kind of mattress shoved in the back of a van kind of van life. And that was, for me, the original van life.
Yeah.
We could go to parties, we could go to raves, and we could then sleep in the back of our van because we weren't allowed to drive. Let's put it that way. So kind of, for me, that's what like kind of van life started. And I never knew it'd become such a integral part of like who I am and what I do. And so it's kind of like it really has become so much more and so much more accepted. I mean, we're going back to what you previously said, where you're saying like the age has got younger. I think that before there was the younger van life people that had mattresses in the back of vans, and then there were the older people that had motorhomes. And because of this umbrella van life, #vanlife, I think it has actually joined people together. And yes, it has kind of like got those divides in there, but I also do think it's joined these people together and made it much more of a community than an isolated thing.
And I guess if we go back to the 60s, the old split screen days, that was the kind of hippie culture of the van and that mattress in the back of a V-dub, and then move on a bit to when the first motorhomes came out, which was probably the 1970s, when the coach builts appeared, and it was a different community that engaged with that. Still van life, but it was a coach built, more like these guys factory built motorhomes. So Amy, what's your wish you knew now then that you know now?
So we came into van life very quickly when I struggled with my mental health. It was just a random suggestion that I made to my husband, let's buy and convert a van, and we just did it super quick. But when you start opening up that can of worms that is van life, and you start looking on social media, there is this, maybe it's the full-time, that is the dream, to be full-time, and you're not really a van lifer unless you're full-time, and, that kind of pressure. And I think what I wish that I'd known then, and obviously I do now, but is that van life can look different for everyone, and every family can do it absolutely different, however they want, and there is no right or wrong. So I just think, just do you, figure out what you want to do, and that's what I wish I'd have known. No pressure.
Love that. Steve?
For many years, we've always said we want to go full-time. When the kids grow up, we want to go full-time in the van. For many, many years, and was jealous of our full-time van friends. Around 18 months, 2 years ago, I just realised, we like going home as well. We do like going home. And I don't think we'd ever sell the home and go full-time. That's one thing different. So that's one thing I know now. Always wanted to go full-time van life, but I think I wouldn't want to spend the winter in a van in the UK. It's doable, but it's not top of my list. So that's how things have changed for us. We really wanted to go full-time, but I think just being able to go off as much as we can, but always to come back to our bricks and mortar house at some stage, I think.
I make no secret the fact I love my bricks and mortar house. I absolutely love it.
Right.
As much as I love my van, and I love doing both. And that's for me, that's what van life is for me, is that flexibility. Lucy, what is it for you? What is the highs and lows of van life for you?
I think for me, it was realizing how accessible it actually is and how achievable it was. I don't know about you guys, but I never saw someone who looked like me in the van life kind of space. So for me, I struggled to find, when I was first looking for inspiration, women who were doing it by themselves. I very rarely saw mixed race women who were doing it by themselves, and I just found there was a real gap in the diversity of what I was seeing online. Now, don't get me wrong, that's just social media, but it's still quite impactful when you're trying to figure out if that's something that's accessible for you. And for me, I mean, I actually ended up getting my camper van many years after I had one with a partner who was quite abusive, who actually told me that I would never be able to have a camper van by myself. And it's just those little things that just build up over time where you just feel like, okay, am I ever going to be able to afford to do this by myself? Am I going to be able to have a camper van and build something out by myself? Am I going to be able to do like long trips by myself? What if I break down? What if things go wrong? But actually now coming into van life, and whether I do it part-time or full-time or whatever, if I do it by myself or with a friend or a partner, I think it's just also knowing that actually what I've learned from the community that I've met along the way, and I think particularly from coming to festivals like this and events like this, you meet so many people who are doing it so many different ways. And people who have got like maybe disabilities that they've shaped an entire van around, or people who have come in and they're maybe from, I don't know, a different background and they've found a way to make van life work for them, or they've got really expensive camper vans or motorhomes, or they've got ones where they've built them and maybe spent like $1,000 on them. And it's just so inspiring. I think it makes you realise how accessible it is and how accepting everybody is, and just wants to, I think everyone just kind of wants to teach you and help you and support you to be able to achieve that. So I think that's really nice. But I had no idea that existed when I was first starting out. And I wish I'd known, because I think I would have done it a lot sooner.
Guy, for you, the van's been liberating from a commercial point of view. And you've ended up building this whole amazing event called Vanlove, where it embraced exactly what we're just talking about then. But what's been the highs and lows for you?
I think the thing for me, I've been very lucky because I've travelled the world with work. And I would, if someone had said to me pre-motorhome, are you well-travelled? I'd say, oh yeah, incredibly well-travelled. I am not well-travelled until I got a motorhome, because, I mean, one of the jewels in this country, I think, is the CL network in CAMC. Like, the places you can stay for next to no money in someone's garden or in a farm. When you actually are able to stay in these random places, then you're travelling, then you're seeing new places, then you're really understanding what this country can offer. And we are so, in a car, you end up driving past it a lot of the time, or pulling into a public car park. That's what the big takeaway for me is, just how the opportunity it's opened up to stay at different places and see different parts of the country. And parking on a beach and just staying there, and it's okay. It's great.
Iain, for you then, as an industry observer and someone who makes a living out of van life, what do you see as the future? What are going to be the highs and lows, do you think, for us?
Well, I think the most important thing that I've taken away from my time at Campervan, but also just to listen to this discussion, is that it's so all-encompassing. It includes people at all different levels of interest in this community. And they don't even have to be part of the community if they don't want to be. They can be, or they can't be. You can pick and choose as much as you like. It's all about the freedom, and it's all about the just enjoying what you want to do and getting out of it what you want to get out of it. And I think that's the key to van life, if you want to call it that, is that it's your thing, and you do what you want to do, and whether it's a self-build or whether it's a campervan conversion that you've bought, then that's if that's the way you want to do it, and that's what you should do, and nobody should be excluded from it. If they want to be part of a community, they can. If they don't want to be part of a community, they don't have to be. It's not essential. But I think that's I think it is such a broad range now, and that's really a nice thing to see.
And for you, Carl?
Obviously, I was one of those younger ones back in the day, throwing a mattress in the back of a van. That was definitely me.
Back in the 60s.
That's where it all started. I'm giving a talk here tomorrow on that. It starts there. So for me, although I did that, I would have gone back then, and I would have built my first camper van without a doubt. There's no two ways about it. And it's basically for the journeys that I've actually done. Like Steve said, it is a journey, not just a destination. And I've been down to Cornwall doing the bodyboarding, up to Scotland, suffering the flat batteries and things like that. And yes, it's a bit of a drama at a time, but you know what? It makes the whole trip what it is. And I lost the battery in the van. I lost power in my actual leisure batteries, and it was middle of the night, I had nothing, and it was the first trip out in the van. So it's part of what I do, and I can look back now. I have documented it, and I can always look back on that, and the memories there, the memories that you can make having a van. You make memories on holidays, yes, don't get me wrong, but having a van, like Guy says, some of the places that you can find. We found a little farm car park up in Bude in Cornwall, and it was like you go over the hill and you had the beautiful scenery, and it was like £10 a night. So you don't have to spend hundreds of pounds on a campsite. So for me, I'd have gone back, way back, and done it a lot earlier if I knew back then what I know now.
What I find really interesting is we started this discussion and we were using quite negative terminology. We were using words like judgmental, and in half an hour of just having a chat together, we started using words like freedom and community and the journey. And I think that's what it's actually all about, isn't it? And I think perhaps on the surface of it, it's easy to look in and say, oh, I'm not sure about what you're doing, and feel that you're being judged or you're being judgmental. But we're not. We're just doing it our own lane. We're doing our own thing. And I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? And what a wonderful pastime this is. Would you all agree, those of you that are observing this as the audience? It means whatever it means for you, and it means different things for different people. We love our motorhome. We just spent 2.5 weeks on the Outer Hebrides, and it was amazing. I would go back again tomorrow, and we would do lots of different holidays. We would go down to Bude as well, and it's what we do with it. So, guys, thank you so much. I'm feeling encouraged about being part of Vanlife. I trust you are too. And if you're listening to this and you're wondering, am I part of Vanlife? Of course you are. If you want to be, you're part of the community. So join in and just go and do it. Thank you all very, very much. Can we give everyone a round of applause, please? Thank you.
So that's Matt and friends at Campervan Campout. Some of those friends: Steve and Lindsay Radford of the Roaming Radfords, Absolutely Lucy, Carl from Built Not Bought, Guy Robinson from Vanlove Fest, Jenna from Slowly Wilding, Amy of the Van Fam community, and thanks also to Iain Duff, the editor of Campervan Magazine.
Yeah, thank you to all. It was a brilliant session, really insightful, and something we've never done before, but I think we will try and do again on a range of topics. So it was great fun. Thank you, everyone.
It's about that community of interest. It's about that love of people getting together, no matter where they are on the income or status in society. Vans pull everybody together, don't they?
They do, and I guess it's like any pastime, really, and any community. You're going to get different people from different walks of life, all doing it in their own way, and there's a common thread. And actually, we are a very accepting bunch of people. And we just like doing it the way we like doing it. So
let me put you on the spot then, can I?
Go on.
What's from that discussion there?
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you pulled out of there? The one positive?
That I think there was initially, as the journey of that discussion went on, that there's this sense of negativity and judgment, and actually that doesn't exist. I think it's a fear. I think we're all concerned that that's what we're feeling or how being made to feel. It's not true. And that actually it's a very accepting community. Yes, someone in a big 200 grand A-class motorhome might look down on the Ford Transit with a chimney stuck out the roof and a mattress thrown in the back, but only in the sense of, I don't like that van, that's not for me. You are not being judged as a person. It's actually the vehicle that's being looked at, and maybe a judgment's being made. The people are still very welcome, and we are, as a community, generally extremely accepting, and I love it.
And remember the password: be nice.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
And it's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. It's time for our questions and answers. And first of all, David Walker has got a question for us.
Hi Matt, it's David from Leisurebit. I wondered if you could help me. I notice a lot of people are upgrading the motorhome weight to save on road tax. Yet with heavier weight, that's going to create more pollution. Do you think that'll be addressed at some point? Because it looks like the price for road tax is significantly cheaper when you go into the private heavy goods vehicle category rather than the private light goods vehicle. Love to know your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thanks, David. So there you go, Matt. It's an environmental question and quite complicated about tax. Have you got an answer?
Yeah, okay, so let's clarify the facts here. So if private heavy goods, if you're over 3.5 tonne, you're going to pay £165 a year in road tax if you tax for the whole year. If you're private light goods, so 3.5 tonne or less, then you'll be paying £325. So that's pretty much double. In fact, it may have even gone up as we record this. That's the tax class that the government seem to play with, and they keep pushing that one up. They don't touch the private heavy goods one because it would affect so many different types of vehicle that I think there would be a massive queue and blockage outside number 10. So that tax class tends to be left alone. David's point is by people are making their vehicles heavier to save money on the road tax. I don't think that's the case. I think they're making their vehicles heavier to give them a better payload and the ability to carry more and be legal. The impact environmentally, does driving a heavier registered vehicle have a greater environmental impact? I'm not sure it does. I mean, if you're driving down the road and you're a lot heavier, arguably you're going to use a little bit more fuel, but is that going to have a massive environmental impact compared to other factors and pastimes that we carry out? I mean, making unnecessary journeys has an environmental impact, and not following Martin Dory's advice, which is slow down, spend 2 or 3 nights in a campsite, don't race around from campsite to campsite. So David raises a valid point. It's not one I think that we should be massively concerned about for the reasons David cites, but certainly is worth thinking about. And if you feel that making your vehicle heavier is going to have a negative effect on the impact and you don't want to do it, then don't do it.
Thanks, David, very much for that. We'll give you details about how you can record your question a little bit later. Brian's in Gloucestershire. I have a 3.5 tonne Euromobile, and the door tag says the tyre pressure is 80 PSI. That's pounds per square inch, isn't it? I think this is too high. I have just had 2 Michelin all-weather CPs fitted, and even the tyre fitter asked if I wanted them that hard. At the moment, I'm running 75 on the back and 70 on the front. The trouble is, every time I start the motorhome, I get a message saying the tyres are under-inflated with a flat tyre symbol, and I can't seem to get rid of it. It's a Fiat Ducato base. Should I run it at 80 PSI?
This is a constant debate on social media as to how hard your tyres should be. The answer is it depends how heavy your axle is for those tyres. You need to get your motorhome weighed and then go to tyresafe.org or get the tyre pressure app. It's brilliant. You put in the weight of the axle, the size and dimension of the tyre as per the tyre wall, so 225, 65, R16 or whatever the numbers are, and it will tell you the pressure from the manufacturer that tyre should be running at. Don't guess this. 80 PSI sounds a lot. You think you put 36 in your car.
Yeah, absolutely.
80 seems massive. You think this is going to explode. It's not. So your dashboard light telling you got a flat tyre is because the tyre pressures were set with the tyres at the higher pressure. You're now underinflating them, so the tyre pressure sensor in the wheel is detecting that the tyres are underinflated. And to reset them, Okay, here we go. I'll do this slowly. You turn the ignition to the on position, but the engine off. Okay? So it's that one click. Press forward or the back button on the steering wheel until the trip and odometer are displayed. Okay, the odometer, that's how many miles you've done, isn't it? It is, yeah.
Yep. Press then the up and down button until tyre inflation monitor is displayed.
Yep. So you're now in the right main menu.
It will say tyre inflation monitor. Hold down the reset button, which is located on the instrument cluster, until monitor current tyre pressure ? Comes up.
Yep. Press OK and that's it. You've reset it. If that doesn't work, then consult your manual for the vehicle chassis and the instructions will be in there. We got that answer from Google for the Fiat Ducato, but it may be you have an older model or a different model and a different method is required. But Google is your friend. But the main thing here is tyresafe.org, a brilliant website to find out the correct tyre pressure based on the weight of the vehicle.
There you go. Thanks, Brian, for the question. Much appreciated. Robert McGuckin is in Temple Patrick in Northern Ireland. Hi, Matt and Keith. We caravan 20 years ago, then moved on to touring by motorbike all over the UK and Europe. We've been looking at going back to caravanning, but waiting until prices stabilise. Living in Northern Ireland, our choice is somewhat limited, and the choice is probably greater on the mainland and a lot cheaper. But when you talk to dealers here, that's in Northern Ireland, they will not do any warranty warranty work on a van that you buy in England if it hasn't been bought from them, even if they are the dealer/agent for that manufacturer. What can I do if I buy a new or used van in warranty in England and I need that warranty work done in Northern Ireland? Can they refuse?
This is annoying. This really annoys me about our industry. If it was BMW, you would take it and expect to be able to take it to the BMW dealer and they'd welcome you with open arms. It doesn't work like that in the motorhome industry, and it's annoying. When I had a dealership, we would welcome the brands that we were retailing and we were a franchisee for. We would welcome that owner and customer with open arms because we saw that we were gaining a new customer. It is a culture in our industry that if you didn't buy it from us, we're not going to look after it. I find it bizarre, I have to say. My only advice is to consult with a dealership before you make a purchase and find one that will help you with it. Your question is, can they refuse? Yes, of course they can. They're not duty bound by the manufacturer to do any work on it at all. And often dealers are not keen to do warranty work because the hourly rate paid by the manufacturer is much lower than the hourly rate they charge. So that might be a good angle to go and negotiate with them and say, well, I know you're only getting, I don't know, £50 an hour from the manufacturer and you charge 80. Well, how about I give you the 30 quid per hour and you're not out of pocket? And they might be swayed, but it's going to have to be a negotiation. And yes, I'm afraid, but what you've experienced is very true.
Can I ask a question, Matt?
Go on.
Well, I'm thinking about Robert in Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland is in Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the UK, after Brexit, but it's also under EU rules. What if he crossed the border into Southern Ireland? We've got a lot of Republic of Ireland listeners. Hello to you, by the way. Could he cross the border into Southern Ireland and maybe ask a dealer there? Is it the same attitude there?
He may be able to, yeah. Certainly he'd be paying in euros. There might be some differences in the vehicle because it would be a UK spec and they would be used to dealing with an EU spec. And sometimes there are differences. I mean, even down to the 3-pin plug. You know, the plug is a UK plug versus a 2-pin EU plug. So again, it's about negotiation and trying to corral a dealership and a business, which is what they are, to work with you and accept your business. And money talks. Let's just put it that way.
Just say that in Ireland they do use the 3-pin plug in the Republic.
Do they?
Yeah.
What, a UK plug?
Yes.
Well,
I think.
Why have I never noticed that?
When was the last time you were in the Republic of Ireland?
I was in Dublin, probably 10 years ago.
Did you plug anything in?
I don't remember. I was in a hotel, so I must have done.
Put us right, please. We'd like to hear.
If you're in Southern Ireland, or Republic of Ireland, please tell us.
Yeah.
How many pins are your plugs?
He doesn't remember plugging anything in his hotel room. Anyway, Robert, thanks very much for that one. Now, Matt, how do people get a question to us?
Really easily, just head to MH. I'm still chuckling. What was that noise?
In the hotel room.
Really easily, just head to mhmp.info/ask Matt. Hit the orange button and record your question. We love hearing your voices on the podcast and hearing where you are in the country. Or if you'd rather not do that, you can fill out the form and Keith and I will read the question for you.
Please leave us a review. How do you do that, Matt?
Easy. mhmp.info/review.
And you can subscribe on YouTube. What are the details?
Easy. Hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell, and then the gods of YouTube will tell you when a new episode has been released. And our YouTube channel is sponsored by arabasecreative.co.uk.